Hi guys, hello and good morning. My name is Steve Pugh. It is Friday, the 10th of March. It is 9 o'clock here in the UK. I run a startup called the Roadmap MBA, and basically we have a real world business course. We have users in 51 different countries now, which is really cool. And basically what we do multiple times a week is that we have live drop-in classroom sessions where you can come in from anywhere in the world. You could be on the beach in Bali, you could be surfing in Cornwall, you could be in your office board and you want to just learn some new stuff. And basically what we do is to teach people and help upskill people for the next phase of their career. And basically what I tend to do is that we do podcast interviews, and basically they start again pretty soon. And we do lots of really kind of cool stuff, but this includes broadcasts as well. So I do one every week on a Friday morning, and what I try to do is talk about stuff that's happened throughout the week, but also share some really kind of short segments on different stuff that might be interesting. So this week, I'm going to talk about some stuff that's happened this week. So we've got International Women's Day, the Marketer Meetup was an event I went to on Tuesday. Gary Lineker's tweet I thought could be quite interesting, and actually the right of freedom of speech and that kind of thing. Actually, I've upgraded to, I say upgraded, I've started to do TikTok this week. So shout out to Phil Teasdale and also Chloe Clover for the inspiration to kind of do that. I'm going to touch on that and almost why it's completely different to create 2-second content versus like 10-minute or an hour content, and why it's actually harder. I did some consultancy this week. I think it was this week. I think it was, yes, it was Monday. And it was to do with helping an organization really understand their aims, goals, and ambitions, where they want to be, and why it's important to do top-down thinking to really plan out the business, but also bottom-up as a sense check. So I'm going to explain what that is and how you can kind of use it. I'm going to talk about the power of PR, because hopefully I've got some press releases coming soon, and why I would recommend you kind of looking at that as well. And then also the power of trends as well. I went to a really excellent talk on Tuesday. Shout out to the guys at Trend Bible. And actually, it was such a really interesting concept that I wanted to kind of talk about. The other things that I was manically kind of setting up before this kind of went live, with Apple expected to launch their AR/VR headset this summer, we've been testing and playing with 360 content now for about a year or so. So I have an Oculus Rift headset you might be able to just see on the floor down there. And basically it was to learn the craft to see how could we do something really special for that space. So I've been filming on something called an Insta360 One X2 camera, which films in 360. So if you go onto YouTube probably tomorrow, because it takes a while to process, you'll be able to watch this in 360, but actually hopefully feel like you're in the room, but you can look around and that kind of thing. But the one challenge that we always had was that sound was terrible. So the camera is give or take 400 quid, so it's not mega expensive. The image quality is okay. It's not great. It's not as good, good as what you'll see on this, but the sound quality was awful. So what I wanted to do in kind of preparation for that was actually, I'm actually wearing a second microphone today. So I use something called Rode Wireless Go, which is how I transmit from here, stood up to the iMac, which then does the main broadcast. But also I was looking for ways, could I also send a similar signal to the 360 so it gets decent lavalier audio as opposed to trying to pick stuff up in the room. So I'm actually wearing a second Rode Wireless Go transmitter to basically try and catch both. And I won't go into the technical reasons why I'm doing that, but that's cool. And then the other thing which I was playing with as well. So I've been on TikTok now for approximately 3 days. And one of the things, obviously I do a lot of live streaming, was actually to, in theory, start to live stream on TikTok. I know that's the thing. But the challenge you've got is that, for one, it's just on your phone. So I can't, I don't think I can, I'm going to check, beam in from Restream. So I currently use a software called Restream.io, which allows me to take one broadcast and send it to LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and lots of other different places. And actually what I'd hope to do is add TikTok to that list, but I don't think it works. So this morning, literally, I've set up a rig which actually sits below my main kind of panning camera to hold my phone, and a separate microphone which now isn't in use, because I think from what Phil Teasdale said, I think you need to get over 1,000 followers before they let you live stream. But the point is, hopefully, at least I know how to do it. And what I wanted to do was try and integrate it into this setup. So before we started, I tried to go live, realized I couldn't, so I've just unplugged my phone and it's there. But the idea is, it's how can you continually look to innovate in terms of your offer, what you do, how it works. But I would recommend check out the 360 content if you're interested. So other stuff that I've been up to, I love to kind of share some updates on stuff that we've done as a business. purely because how many influencers and people out there do you see who tell you about all the stuff that you should do as a business or whichever, but you never actually see them do any real business stuff. So I always give you an honest update about stuff that we've done. The podcasts are returning, so basically I've missed them. I had the app to get live and I had some other stuff to get finished. But actually, I genuinely love speaking to people and actually helping to share their stories. So we've got Lepora Lindsay starting on Thursday, so she's a really fabulous entrepreneur from the USA. And then we've got Ali again on the 20th. And basically, we've got a whole raft of interviews lined up, hopefully more. But the idea is it's that way to give a platform to different people to basically help them on their journey. Speaking of platforms, we've got 2 new presenters who are going to come. We were really keen with our mission to make business education accessible, that not everyone can be in this room and present to cameras and lights, just because if you're not based within 20 miles of here, you're not going to realistically be able to come. So what we wanted, and basically we've got 2 new presenters who are going to do pre-recorded shows the first time, so they'll be broadcast live to you, but obviously we're going to film them in advance. And it's that balance of, I know that the ambition for what I want with the channel is almost to have, if you know Bloomberg, it's a mix, or they do business related content, but it's a mix between live broadcast and pre-recorded shows, and they run 24 hours a day, and I use that as an inspiration to help guide what we want to do. But actually what it also does, it opens up, someone could be in Australia, they could be in Tanzania, they could be anywhere in the world, and they can actually then have a voice on our channel, which is really important, to share their view on the world in a way that, I genuinely want to learn from different people and give people a platform, because as a 39-year-old white man who runs a business, my view on the world is different to someone that might be a 17-year-old Nigerian or a 50-year-old, 70-year-old American. You get my point. The idea is that no one person's view on the world is 100% correct. But actually, through giving a platform to different people, what I hope to do is almost create a better business which is more inclusive, but actually, hopefully, quite interesting content as well. If it's not, we won't do it for long, but the point is to actually kind of try it. So the first one I'm going to talk about is, so TikTok is my first topic this week. It's something that I love to have new things to play with and learn, etc. I thought about TikTok for a long time. I knew there was this thing. I'd kind of ignored it for a long time because I don't dance. And actually, that was the thing for a while, and then it was fads. And I was trying to figure out, actually, for the business, what's relevant. Because likewise, what I didn't want to do is, I don't think long-form content like this works on TikTok. Because when you actually watch people use the platform, they hold their phone and they swipe, 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 like, swipe, swipe, swipe. So you have to catch people's attention. And it was that balance of where, arguably, it could even be 1 second, but essentially I think you get 2 seconds to make an engagement, try and get some sort of interaction, and the hope is that over time you put out stuff or people actually quite enjoy following your channel, because you might spark a little bit of imagination or whichever. But it's really difficult to do that with what I class as quality business content, and I've really struggled with what to do. So again, I love to consume stuff as well. So on YouTube, I was watching, it was the Chloe Clover Wonder Films podcast, and she was interviewing a guy called Phil Teasdale from a business that he runs called Enterprise Made Simple. And he was talking about, both in promotion of his book, but also for other stuff, how he'd been on TikTok, I think, for about a year. But actually how it was really good and really kind of worthwhile. And when something's been niggling away at you for a while, but you hadn't really just pulled the trigger to just do it, that video made me think, you know what, I need to do it. Separate to this, in other conversations to do with this other stuff we were looking at for the channel, basically one of the ideas that came up was something called Vox Pops, where basically you go out on the street and you ask people's opinions on different stuff. And the truth is, I actually even had branded microphones made up. And on Tuesday, no, it was Wednesday afternoon, so 2 days ago, I had all this stuff. I had the branded microphones. I went into the city centre in Newcastle with the plan to film some of these Vox Pops. And what I wanted to do for TikTok was actually interview people and create interesting content, because people always want to know what the public thinks. And the whole point of what we were trying to do with that is that with the roadmap, it's about making business education accessible, but also making it accessible to real people. So real people with real opinions that isn't always what you see in the media. And the truth is, so I went into Newcastle. I went to there's a big thing called Monument, which is right in the centre of town, and I kind of bottled it. I knew my gut feel was people wouldn't want to talk on camera, and it wasn't going to work. So, we're often kind of aiming for a Gen Z type audience. So what I then did was went up towards the church at the top of Northumberland Street to speak to students. There was a bit where I then kind of, I won't bore you with it, but there was a nice enclave where I could set up. I even had an A-board made where you could slip in sheets that said 20-second interviews for TikTok and what the topic was, with the idea being that people could walk past. They see someone on a microphone, they're never going to talk to them. But if they see in advance what the topic is, and it could be, what do you think about Gary Lineker's tweet? It could be, what do you think about the war in Ukraine, climate change, student debt, whichever. And I learned really, really quickly, I mean like in minutes, that this was a bad idea. So then what I decided to do, hi James, thanks in the podcast, thanks from the comments as well. And then what I decided to do, you occasionally need to know when something just isn't going to work. And I knew it wasn't going to work. So what I did was basically pack up, went home, and on the drive back, or basically on the walk back to the car, I was trying to think through actually what can I do? I still want to play with the concept of asking people questions, but I need for TikTok to be creating content every day. And actually, when you edit a video, it takes a really long time. And I just didn't think it was doable. And again, I hadn't really used TikTok, but you can also ask questions and do polls on TikTok. So what I decided that when I got back to the office, a little bit deflated, I still had all these printed out questions that I was going to ask people on the street. So what I decided to do was cut them up, cut out a piece of paper, stick them in different places around the office, and actually film a 2-second, 5-second video that pans onto the question, but put on the music, put on the poll, put on the question. But actually now, hopefully, and it might still bomb, I've got a way to engage with people, hopefully get some connection there. I can ask questions and ask the questions I want, but do it in a way where people don't mind clicking a button to say yes or no, or would you prefer to be rich or famous, rich or famous? But the idea is it's that thing of when people scroll, within 2 seconds, they will both see the question and they see two elements of Roadmap MBA branding, one in the question bit and one where our little icon is. In the video, you'll see some subtle stuff, like you might see a pan across the book or whichever. But actually then you've got the audio of the voice over AI thing reading out the question and then the button. But the idea is what I wanted to try and do was create 2-second content for TikTok, which still achieves the goal of asking real people's opinions on questions, and we can make them really topical stuff based on what's happened in the media kind of that day. But actually I can do it really quickly, if that makes sense. And I just wanted to share about how I think I'm actually quite good at knowing how to make content that lasts an hour. And what I do is I clip this up and it'll go into several 6-minute videos, which each go into YouTube. So I've kind of got YouTube under control. I know how to do images and branding and stuff for Instagram. But this again comes down to the channel strategy, that for different channels of what you broadcast on, you need to produce different content. And then for TikTok, just acknowledging that people, they're brutal, just boof, boof, boof. You need to catch people straight away. So for me, asking people questions is something I wanted to talk about. We will wait and see if it ever takes off. I think at the moment I have 12 followers. I've done 4 posts. One was this morning, so it's still mega new. Phil gave me the advice to basically do 1 a day for, I don't know, the first few weeks, then start to ramp it up. And I think once you've kind of proved that you're going to be consistent and you're a real person, hopefully the engagement improves. But what I wanted to do just in this short video was to explain what new approach to TikTok, what we're going to try and do. But also I'd genuinely love to know for you, have you tried it? Are you on it? What other platforms have you tried? Technically with our Insta360, we're also getting into the ARVR space for our content at the same time. So yes, we're getting quite ambitious for what we're trying to do. It might all fail, I don't know. But I would genuinely love to know. So if you catch us on YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or any of the other platforms, please drop me a comment. I genuinely would love to know. Okay. Hi James, sorry, I'm just catching up on the comment. Check out the Strike It Big podcast. They talk a lot about how much time is spent on their thumbnail. Yes, so thumbnails are a major mistake that I made with YouTube for a long time. So in theory, I actually uploaded my first ever video to YouTube probably 12, 15 years ago. And it wasn't until about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I actually started to think about YouTube SEO, which includes the thumbnail. And actually, what was quite funny, it was a guy who got in touch with me, I think from Bangladesh, who wanted to sell me something to do my YouTube SEO for me. But personality wise, I'm one of these people I was then interested that I want to kind of research and do it. And now, when I put a lot more time and effort into my thumbnails, my YouTube content, the keywords, the feedback, even the headline, it does make a genuinely big difference. But you're really kind of good point. And Mr. Beast reportedly, so Mr. Beast is the world's biggest YouTuber, will make millions of pounds per video. He reportedly spends up to £100,000 per thumbnail. So I think he posts about once a week, but these are mega big budget productions. £100,000 on one thumbnail. But the point is, it is really important to get people's attention and get them to click. But this again was something I was caught in myself, where basically I never wanted to become a clickbaity channel. Does that make sense? You have loads of people that they actually create really good content, but the headline is there to get you to click, not so much give genuine value content. And I never really wanted to fall foul of that, so I haven't done that. But actually, hopefully, it's still useful. But no, James, thank you for that. I really appreciate it when you kind of get in touch. Okay, which one do I go to? So on Monday this week in this room, I was doing some consultancy for two guys that run a really successful firm. They've been in business for just over a year, and what they've done is take what they're really, really good at, and then they're looking to grow it and bring on more people to do it, etc. And what was really interesting, especially when you start any new business, is to really figure out what is your business model and how do you actually want to make money. So for me, trying to set up this in the Roadmap MBA, there was huge upfront time, effort, and cost to get to a point where we've got a book, we've got a brand, we have a website, we have a web portal, we have apps, we have lots of different social media channels, we have a live streaming studio. We're actually now at the point where we can hopefully create content really quickly that's hopefully really high quality. We can just start to get the message out there, with the idea being that actually, yes, we have a free tier, and that's on purpose, and we expect over 90% of our users to use our stuff completely for free. So if you go to roadmapmba.com, you can get a business education completely for free, and I promise it's really good stuff. But actually, it's with our paid tiers where basically we can jump on the drop-in classroom sessions multiple times a week, where basically I help you walk through your own different problems and helping to solve different things, because I think that has real value. Plus, you get all the books, and we do carbon offset, and we do lots of other good stuff, and we send them kind of around the world. But the idea is, it was really difficult for me to get to a point where, basically where I am now, that now as I accelerate, in theory, I could sell 1 million copies of the book or have 1 million people on the live stream, and I don't have to work any harder. I've done the bit to break the back of it, and that's the business model I'm looking to do for that. So if you work in recruitment or you provide a service, especially a service which actually involves labor and real kind of people, what these guys are doing is basically sending people off to go and fix things, which then they charge a client for. And it's more technical than that, but that's basically what it is. But the reason why I wanted to really explain it is top-down and bottom-up thinking. So one of my first questions when I do consultancy for different people is to say, well, actually, what is it you're trying to achieve with your business? What is your end goal? And often with most people, it's to build something that they can then exit and sell in, say, 5 to 10 years' time and make a lot of money. That's the reason why most people start a business. But in order to do that, you have to fast forward 5, 10 years. And what you essentially need to build is something that has intrinsic value. It's something that has its value if the owner or the main people working in the business step away. So with the roadmap, what we're trying to do is build a platform with millions of users and that has really good engagement and that kind of thing, that should someone want to buy it and take it forward, there's an entity that they can buy that at some point won't need me to run. With these guys' businesses, it was the element of, okay, so at the moment you each, I'm going to pick round figures, but say if they could each earn £100,000 a year, going out to sell their services and do stuff for other people. Two guys, so therefore £200,000 is what they currently could take home just doing it themselves, just working for themselves. If you then start to do a business and you start to kind of think, well, actually, I want to make more money. I want to build something which can have more value. The bottom up approach would basically be to do with, well, actually, so if we send out men to go and fix trucks, say, so we might pay the person £650 a day to go and do the job. But we charge them out to the client at, say, £800 a day, which basically means that your direct profit off one sale is £150. And the idea of what we're starting to do with this is actually how many units of profit, so how many times you have to sell this to be better off than actually if you didn't try and go that business model and you just sold your own services. So if you earn £100,000 a year just going off doing your job that you're really good at, brilliant. But actually, how many days of other people's time do you need to sell to be better off than where you are right now? And essentially what you're then starting to do is work out, well, actually, yeah, I would need a database of 500 engineers that I can send to different places. And actually, I would need to win work that can feed those 500 people. So actually, that could happen. But then again, that could be really difficult to do. These guys might put their prices up. They might put their prices up to $750 a day, in which case your profit drops. And what you're starting to do is actually starting to figure out from a bottom-up approach, could you really kind of make money from this? From the top down, though, and if your aim is to build a business which you can one day exit, when you build the org chart for the business, which I will just turn over. So I'm going to go CEO, MD. So in this business, there was 2 people at the top. It doesn't really matter. At the moment, what we're talking about is that you can sell your services and go and earn £100,000 a year to do stuff. But if you want to build a business, as we've described, where basically you send guys to do something and you make a profit margin, when you actually do the maths to work out, well, actually, how many guys at £150 profit per day do I need to sell to make £100,000? The answer is a lot. But the truth is, you also need overheads to manage that people, that group of people. So actually, you would need, say, a PM. So you would need a project manager to actually kind of, we'll assume the project manager can oversee 100 people, which I think is ambitious. So actually, if you need 500 techs, so if you need 500 people, actually you need 5 project managers to manage 100 people each to manage that people. But then you also need an office. You would need admin and payroll, because basically then to actually pay the guys and do all the stuff. But then also you need a hell of a lot of work to basically feed these 500 people, that actually you're going to need sales as well. So what you then have is that when you start to add this up, it's not just the 500 guys making £150 profit per sale per day. You've also got the cost of the office, all your overheads, your insurances, your vans, your equipment. You've got your admin and payroll, so that again could be £100,000 worth of cost. So if you had 2 or 3 people to look after 500 guys, that's probably quite realistic. 2 or 3 people, so there's another £100,000. You're going to need 5 project managers to actually allocate the jobs and that to these guys. If they're on 50 grand each, that's another 250. So therefore you've got 350 grand. Then you've got a sales team. Then you've got 450 grand, and then suddenly you have the problem where actually you need £450,000 worth of revenue at least, not including, that's before you take a salary, before you even break even. And it's this kind of thinking that's really important for you to do, that actually before you start a business and decide on a certain path, to say that you want to send engineering technicians to go and do jobs, the client pays you £800, you pay the guy 600, 650, it still doesn't mean that the business is going to work, because actually to get to the point where if you could earn £100,000 a year without all the headaches, all the stress, these guys leaving, going to competitors stealing your work, the time and effort to set it up, the insurances, the overhead, the risk, the debt, etc. It's working out, well, actually, what if I didn't go that route for the business? What if we just did something else? Or actually, could I be better off and richer if I just worked for myself, still create the business, but just do it in a different way? And this is top down and bottom up thinking, that don't always assume because actually you can sell something for £10 profit and actually, yeah, we'll be able to sell 100 of them. It's all of the hidden overheads and costs and insurances and things that add up that actually could mean that if you don't plan this in advance, you can actually start on this journey, recruit all these people. Is that going to help you achieve your goal? And actually think from the very start, what is it you actually want to do? Because if it's just a case of get rich, okay, it's a gamble. You could still do this. And the idea is that over time, over 5-10 years, if you can create a really successful business that brings in millions of pounds, even if you do that, people will only pay you based on what is contractually guaranteed. So for instance, this business could turn over 5 million quid. And you could even make £4 million net profit. But that doesn't mean that it's going to have a multiple of 4 to 5 times X your net profit, because actually if that contract runs out and there's lots of competition out there and you could lose it, yes, it has some value, but it's not inherently guaranteed as well. Say, for instance, with Apple. So Apple obviously invent their own products. They have their own iPhones. But actually what that then means is that they have value. It's theirs. They own it. Or with the roadmap, we own the inherent IP about everything we're doing. So again, it has intrinsic value. And again, if your plan is to exit and sell in the future, it's really important to keep that in mind for the business that you want to build, and actually just will it achieve your goals, etc. If you catch this on YouTube or whichever, my name's Steve. We do a lot of business or entrepreneurship type content on this channel. Check out roadmapmba.com. You can learn a business education completely for free. And yeah, I would appreciate anyone's likes and comments and that kind of thing as well. Okay. Hi, Jonathan. Good morning. Absolutely terrible at any kind of social media. I completely get what you're talking about. And it's true. And actually, I've had this discussion with different clients and that kind of thing, that if social media isn't for you, that's absolutely cool. But it's an advertising platform which doesn't really cost you anything, that can help get you in front of more customers. You can choose not to do it, but then you might not be hitting as many customers. And that's just, it's a personal kind of call. I, again, say not a fan of TikTok. I'm not a fan of dancing, and that had put me off TikTok. But actually, it was only when I really kind of figured out what could work. Again, my original plan, and I spent probably 100 quid on getting all this stuff done to go and to follow a path on TikTok, so I thought it could be great content. And literally within 20 minutes, I knew it was a bad idea, and I pivoted. But the point is, it's just learning kind of what works for you, and what's interesting for you that you're happy to do. Because the other side to it as well, it's the consistency. So having set myself the challenge to do these every week, non-stop. Throughout the week, I just come up with ideas and I come out and do it and I present it. But you have to just keep doing it. A one-off post or a one-off thing is no good. It's years and years and years of hard work, hopefully builds awareness, which then builds consideration, then intent to buy, etc. And it's that thing, you've really kind of got to love what you're doing. So for me, I do kind of enjoy presenting, but I also love learning new technology and stuff like that, because I love that kind of stuff. And it's that which keeps it interesting. So actually, when I had the opportunity to plan a new platform and try something new, I actually quite looked forward to it. But no, genuinely, I appreciate the comment and stuff as well. Okay. I've done that one. Okay, I'm going to talk about PR. So linking perfectly is a seamless segue to Jonathan's kind of comment. So the whole reason why many of us do marketing, social media, etc., it's about trying to build awareness on what we do. You essentially want to be seen, and you want to share the positive attributes about either yourself to get hired, or your product or service, that basically you want people to think, actually, you know what, that looks quite good, I'd buy that, in a way that, brilliant. Or for some people, they do it just for followers and for fun, which is cool. In this case, I'm talking about just in a business kind of context. But the whole reason of doing social media is to raise awareness of what you do, provide some sort of value and service which separates you out from other people. And what you ideally want to do is be seen as an authority or an expert on a certain topic, that actually people then trust you more, actually about a lot of things, but actually they trust you more about what your area of expertise is, that they then buy your product or hire you to do certain stuff. So I'm a management consultant. I get paid to do that every day. I'm actually quite good at it, and hence why we've built the business and the roadmap in a way to, I guess, commercialize that, but actually help millions of people at the same time. And then also from a trust point of view, I've been doing a lot of Trustpilot reviews, which is really cool. So thank you to anyone that's going to help me with those. But also when we do live streams every week, even if I'm not really your cup of tea, I want you to hopefully at least think I'm committed and I'm consistent and I'll turn up. And one of the things I always try and do is just execute to a high standard. So it doesn't matter what it is, be it TikTok or a live stream studio or a textbook or a service. I always try and give my best. I think that's a Boy Scout thing. But it was just something I wanted to kind of talk about as well. So PR is a really important part of this. So when you run your social media accounts, you might have, what do we have? So we've got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and maybe if you're YouTube, and a few others. And the idea is that over time, people start to see your stuff and hopefully see value in it, that they might then click through, what's this course? I'll check it out, etc. But a lot of that is coming from yourself. So it's when you're saying to the world, we're really good at this, trust us, buy our stuff. That has some value, but when it comes from the person selling what they're trying to sell, it doesn't have as much trust. And essentially what we're looking to build with PR So I talk about social proof all the time. That if I say the roadmap MBA is brilliant, nobody really cares because I have a vested interest. I'm the one trying to sell the product. If an independent third party, such as on a Trustpilot review, says, you know what, it is actually pretty good, that has a lot more weight because it comes from someone independent as a way to build social proof. So social proof is proof from society that actually that thing is actually quite good because we trust what other people kind of say and think. PR for me is the ultimate element of that because actually if I do one social media post on LinkedIn, it might hit 2,000 people. That's actually quite good. But the point is, it hits my audience that already kind of know me, get a feel for me, and they might like me or they might not. PR, especially targeted PR, is a way to hit a huge number of people, but actually you will hopefully hit a new audience that might not currently know who you are. So these are new people that can discover you for the first time. You're hopefully going to share a story which is of interest. So people that either already know you might read it and think, oh, actually, that's quite interesting. Or people that don't and discover you for the first time. But the point is, it all comes back to social proof because actually, rightly or wrongly, if there's a press article that someone sees in the newspaper, they're going to trust it more. So if you're in the BBC or your local newspaper or whichever, it's going to build more trust than it would do if you just post the same thing. So actually, never underestimate the importance of building trust with your audience. So for instance, I wrote it 2 weeks ago. I used a company called Harvey and Hugo. They're in Darlington, here in the northeast of England. I've used them for years, really good. Not a paid plug, but just, it's who I use. And basically, especially when the roadmap hit 50 countries, what I wanted to do, because again, my biggest challenge for the company is to build credibility and brand awareness. I know the product is good, so it's that balance of just starting to tell people more about it. So when we hit 50 countries 2 weeks ago, I knew I wanted to do a press release. I had a guy called Christoph come in and do some photos a while back. I think that was before Christmas. I wrote up a press release, sent it to them. They've improved it and then sent it to media. But the idea is, through PR, you can hit different press and media agencies. They then hopefully actually put that on their socials and in their physical print magazines or papers. But then what that does when other people see it, they will trust it a lot more than if it just comes out of my mouth. So although there is inherent cost when you actually use a PR agency to write something for you and then send it out to you, it actually is really good value for money, hopefully, if it does hit good people. And then something Charlotte also talks about at Harvey and Hugo as well, is to PR your PR. So basically, you take that newspaper article, if it's featured in a local trusted source, you then push that back out through your own social media. And what that then does is make people that follow your social media trust you even more because you've got an independent third-party source to talk about what you do. The reason why I'm talking about this is, as I said at the start, I've got a press release. Hopefully, it might be in the paper today. It might be next week. But this is real live stuff that I put my real life money on to do. And actually, I think you should do the same as well. It has genuine inherent value. And even if you do like social media or whichever, always consider traditional media as well, because it does have real inherent value. I know I say this all the time, but it's because I clip things up and go onto YouTube and that kind of thing as their own independent video. But my name's Steve. If you kind of check this out, check out the Roadmap MBA. Is we believe the world's best way to get a free business education. The aim is to help you grow your business or career, and basically give you the complete roadmap to grow and develop. And yeah, you can also learn completely for free as well. Okay. Sorry, Jonathan. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with reposting. And also one of the things that I need to get better at as well is actually, how to describe it, it's comments. So for instance, I do follow other influencers and other people that have done really, really well. And what they say is actually getting involved in the comments and starting conversations works arguably better than actually posting yourself. So even if you don't create content yourself, actually just getting involved with other people's posts can actually do really good things. So I definitely recommend that as well. I kind of need to do that more, but part of the reason why I don't is just I create so much content. I'm always pushing my own stuff, and it's something I need to get better at. But it is a really good point that if you don't comment other people's, if you don't create your own stuff, you can comment on other people's and hopefully get great value as well. Okay, last but not least. So something that I've been aware of for a while, I first saw Joanna Feely speak about 5-6 years ago. So she is the founder of a company called Trend Bible. If you Google them, they're excellent. So just search for Trend Bible, all one word. And what they do specifically around the home, family, and kind of children is forecast trends for bigger companies so that people know what's coming down the pipeline. Excuse me. So that they can build their product or service so that when a trend hits, you're already in the right place at the right time to make the most of it and hopefully make a ton of money. I've seen her stuff for a while, and actually what was interesting, so I went to the marketing meetup here in Newcastle on Tuesday. Definitely check it out. I'll put a link in the description. Really good events, really good speakers, talk about really cool stuff. And what was really interesting, so she was going through and actually giving her through a story about different things. And I'm going to talk you through some of the topics and what they kind of do. But she also said some stuff that really kind of resonated with me as well. So although the talk was aimed at marketers and it's called the Marketing Meetup, sat there as like a CEO, kind of leader of a business, what she talks about is actually fundamental to business planning and decision making, because actually these trends and forecasts, the whole point of a CEO is to create content. It's to create and guide the direction of a business in the right way and then allocate resource to it. So what you're looking to do as an entrepreneur is identify trends, identify opportunities, and then actually look to capitalize on them. That's the whole job. And what I kind of realized from her talk was actually the real value is far beyond marketing. It should be a genuine kind of C-suite kind of thing. And what I wanted to do was just share the concepts of what she kind of talked about in the talk, but definitely check out Trend Bible on all the platforms. So if you imagine a pyramid, what you're essentially always looking for is the early signs of things that could be happening in an industry that might be beneficial to you. So these are called weak signals. So these are really early signs of things to keep an eye out for, which could benefit you or could impact you. The example she gave in the talk was through veganism and how in 2014 you started to see more people start to post and almost be open to meat-free products. And over time, that was the example she went through, all the point where now, hi Paul, good morning, to the point where now actually it's really common that veganism is a real thing and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. But in 2014, it wasn't always true. For me, one of the things that I've been watching, which is part of the reason why I'm filming this in 360 as we speak, is to do with AR and VR. So people have been aware for virtual reality for years. At home, I have an original 1989 Game Boy, and I swear even, oh God, 25, 30 years ago, I'm sure there was a Game Boy VR, and it was basically a normal screen that you just put close to your face. But people have known for a long time that eventually, at some point, if you've ever seen the film Ready Player One, which is a Steven Spielberg film, and actually all the things that I'm talking about are all signals themselves. But the idea is at some point we might all live with headsets on. Think of the Matrix as well, when you're just immersed in a simulation. But the idea is you spot trends and things that happen that over time start to build evidence. And the point is you identify all these different signals that guide your thinking, to guide your business. So you go from weak signals to early signs. So in terms of businesses and what we're kind of starting to talk about, so for ARVR, it's been around for years, but the technology wasn't really ready. You had Oculus start, and then Oculus were bought by Facebook, now Meta, I think about 5 years ago. And actually, I even have an Oculus Quest 2 down there. It's fine, it's great, it's not brilliant, it's not comfortable to wear for too long, but actually some of the stuff is pretty cool. But the point is, I'm kind of an early adopter of different stuff, and I've kind of been watching this for a while, and I wanted to look at a business point of view that could you be in Japan but feel like you're in the room, and I wanted to learn how to do that. Then the next is growing evidence. Oh, I've broke my pen, so I'm just going to swap pens. And then last but not least is saturate the market. Saturate. But the reason why I'm talking about this in terms of AR, VR is that actually, so the weak signals, it's been around for ages, the technology's been a bit naff, the games and content wasn't really whatever. Evidence of big changes, so Facebook, multi-billion-dollar company, changed their name to Meta, go all in on the metaverse, that everyone kind of knows of this thing called the metaverse. They might not buy into it, but they know of it. And what we're starting to do is go through this channel, and basically this summer, it is expected that Apple are going to launch their AR VR headset. When we had smartphones, we had phones with screens, but it was when Apple made that jump, it became mainstream. That actually part of the reason why we're purposely upping our content now, especially our 360 AR VR content, is actually if Apple launch their AR VR headset this summer, that is kind of at the point where we know it's going to, there's a bell curve for early adopters. It's at the point where when people do it, people pay attention when Apple do things, that actually we can see it really starting to take off. So from a business point of view, and it'd be the same for whatever you do, what you're looking to do is identify these trends, learn how to do them, learn how to do them really well, so that when the market really kicks off, you have an advantage over everyone else. So what we're looking to do with the content, so I'm going to film all of my live streams now with this and just get better and better and better and better, is that if you remember back to when the iPhone first launched, it wasn't with the iPhone 3G, I think it was actually the second iPhone, they launched the App Store. So when the iPhone originally launched, there wasn't an App Store, but at some point there was. And when people launched the App Store, there was a rush where people would then just download apps just because they were there and they wanted to try this cool new thing. My point being that if Apple are going to launch a AR VR service, it's at the point where the market will begin that very early stage of saturation that could grow really quickly, that actually what we're trying to do is capitalize on that. The whole point and the power of trend forecasting is that when you spot these trends and things that are starting to happen, you can become a specialist and be an early adopter, so that as that market rises, you can make great use of it. In the use of kind of Paul Chan, who's a friend, if you do interior decoration or you lay floors or whichever, if you know that the in-trend is going to be herringbone flooring in 2 years' time, you can actually learn your craft and learn how to do that and build your brand and your SEO and that kind of thing, so that when these trends kick off, you score higher on TikTok and YouTube and that kind of thing, so you can really score much higher. And the point is, you can use trends to actually help confirm the things that you kind of feel inherently already inside yourself, just to make the most of it from a business point of view. I would definitely recommend Trend Bible. if they're not in your sector and if you're not in the kind of home space and that kind of thing, it's cool. I'm not as well, but it's still kind of real value there. And one of the things that Joanna said during her talk, which is trends in terms of how people view themselves, is that at the moment there's a fluidity of self. So almost where nowadays people don't like to be put into a box as gay, straight, male, female, business owner, mother, son, photographer, YouTube presenter, whichever. People are actually starting to fight against and rebel against labels, and that's like a growing thing, that the identity of self. So from Joanna's talk on Tuesday, it made me actually create 2 new social media posts, which I since put out about that. And the other one as well is there's a big growing trend about the idea of being a digital nomad. People love the idea to be able to work from anywhere, to work from a beach in Bali, especially if you do social media marketing from your laptop, you can work from everywhere. That's like a growing dream for a lot of people. I've seen it. I subscribe to something called Freelancer Magazine, and they've kind of touched on it. But the point is, I'd seen these little signals and stuff of other people talk about. Through her talk, what it did do is really cement that actually there is a real thing there. It helps support my intuition that we're going to do an advertising campaign based on learn from anywhere. So learn from a beach, learn from a bus, learn from the moon. But the idea is it's to use that digital nomad trend that people like the idea of and actually use it as a way to stand out as a business in a way that my competition, who could be physical training centres or universities that have an inherent based in a city or whichever, they can't do that. But the point is, it's the trend that is happening, that is around. Having an awareness of them, it can help guide your intuition, which then can help your marketing and promotion. Or in terms of a trend for lifestyle, if you have the ability to learn from anywhere, I can then hop on that trend and benefit in a way that if I only taught people in person from a classroom, I can't. So I'm sorry that was a really long-winded way to describe it, but definitely check out trend forecasting as a concept. It can just be kind of simplified down to a way to kind of think about your ideas and actually think, are they useful, they're the right thing to do in the direction for your business. But it is still a super interesting thing to do and be aware of. At 9:47, I've been talking for 47 minutes. Thank you for your time and your patience. If you are interested, check out roadmapmba.com. We've got an app which you can download on Android and iOS, and you can learn from anywhere in the world, pun intended. But actually, you can also learn completely for free as well. So there's no ads, there's no sneaky, chargy things, there's no recurring payments, whatever. It's there for the right reasons. And then the hope is that actually, if you find value in the content and you might want to get more involved, maybe pick my brains or get a physical book or pay one forward to donate it and help other people around the world, you can do that as well. And that's what our paid options are as well. So genuinely, have a wonderful Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Paul, I'll probably see you online later. Have a great Friday, everyone. I appreciate your time. I genuinely do. And I'll speak to you soon. All right, cheers, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you all.